Overseas Filipino workers, known as OFWs, listen up because this video is for you. Today we're doing more of a discussion podcast format. I'm with my guest, Atilai, also my girlfriend. So let's
Special
kick
guest.
this discussion off.
So my kababayans, we call them kababayans. Comment down below. Of course, what like your thoughts. We would like to know your experiences. Share your stories.
Right, so let's kick this off. I've got a notepad because I've got a few questions, and I've seen these questions just asked to many Filipinos that are living abroad, so we're just going to run through them here and see what Lai thinks. So, first question is, what do you think the hardest thing is for OFWs when living abroad?
As a Filipino, like of course we've known for having like a strong family ties.
Yeah.
Being away from the family is the challenging part of being abroad.
Okay, so yeah, I would say like for most people that move abroad, that's probably going to be the biggest difficulty. You don't have like support, you're away from
Yeah.
family. I think not just for Filipinos, for anyone who's thinking
Yes.
to live abroad. And do you think Filipinos will find it difficult, the changing climate or the changing weather, depending where they move, obviously?
Yes, basically it's a big adjustment, especially for those first time to move abroad. It's going to be a new experience, especially weather is a big factor as well. Moving from a hot country to a cold country.
So more if they move into a cold country, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
So like when you come from Philippines to Ireland, what's the feeling like? Because I know you arrived the one time in winter, right?
Yes. Yeah, like the last time I was here, I kind of like it at some point, but sometimes the weather really affecting your mood,
Yeah.
especially you cannot go outside, enjoy the sun, which is you normally gonna enjoy in the Philippines most
True.
of the year.
True. So having lived in Philippines, obviously I live in Manila with Lai. Yeah, it really can put. I didn't realize it because obviously I'm from Ireland and lived here all
Yeah.
my life. So like you just used to that weather. But when I lived in Manila and you can wake up every morning, you can go out in shorts and a vest top. The sun's hitting the skin. You can stroll anywhere to get your coffee and your flip-flops. It's like a nice feeling. It puts you in a good mood. Whereas you can wake up in Ireland, it's very dull, rainy, windy, and it kind of makes you like, oh, I don't really want to do too much today,
Yeah.
right?
Like even for me, I'm just visiting here, but like for a month or two, I
Enough.
feel like that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So important, if you move in Filipinos, think about the weather, because if you're going to go to a place like Russia or Poland or any maybe Eastern European country in the winter, you are really going to feel the cold.
The cold, yeah.
Next question is, what do you think Filipinos need to take into consideration before they move to a foreign country? Like what are maybe two or three of the main things they really need to think about before they take the leap and just fly to another country?
I think the most important thing is the cost of living.
Yeah.
Like moving from, of course, like I cannot say like cheap country, the Philippines, but when you moved abroad, like the currency, it's different, of course. Like the cost of living is way too different. It's more expensive here because you have to consider rent, especially if you're starting from scratch. You have to consider rent, like paying bills, what kind of job you can get here
True.
that can like support like everything.
So yeah, that's a good point. The difference in cost of living obviously is absolutely huge. Laya's visited here before because she has a sister living here, and she was still working her job in the Philippines, online job, which was for AirAsia, right?
Yeah.
So you stayed here that time how long, roughly?
Almost 6 months.
Okay,
I'd say.
so you was on a 6-month vacay, but
Yeah.
you were working online.
Yes.
Right.
I was working in AirAsia at that time.
Okay, and let's just do a comparison. So you got paid monthly. We won't say exactly how much, but just like probably a bit better than average Filipino salary, right? And how long did that money last you here in Ireland? And take into consideration she was staying with her sister, so you weren't paying rent or
Yeah,
bills or
yeah.
anything. How long did the money last you if you just wanted to like go out, meet a friend, buy a coffee, buy some food for 1 month's salary?
Like for me, I think in that salary, it wouldn't last for a week
So that's
because,
crazy.
yeah, because like just for a meal, I think it's just, it's just gonna be like, let's say 5,000 conversion in the Philippines because I was earning a Philippine based salary, but like although it's a bit higher, it's okay in the Philippines, but like here, it's a different story.
Not okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So you'd have to consider, of course, cost of living, but most people that are going overseas are going to be working like overseas. They're not going to be working an online job from the Philippines unless, obviously, it's a lot higher salary or a good company. So yeah, what Lai's saying is 100% true. The cost of living here, it's like obviously very high. Although you do get a pretty good salary, you would average about 450 euros a week, maybe for a normal job. But that being said, rent here per month, it's like minimum 1,000 euro. Like I'll tell you, if you want to go out just like as a couple, right, for a drink and
A
something
drink,
to
yeah.
eat, the bill's like 6,000 plus. It's quite pricey.
True.
So you really have to take that into consideration
Yeah.
before you choose which country.
Especially you're starting from scratch, you know.
Yeah.
You really have to make sure you're prepared.
Yeah. So what you're saying is they have to look at the salary before they and the cost of living before they
Yeah, the
move to the
cost of
country.
living, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So next question. Okay. Oh, next question. It's gonna cause maybe a lot of controversy in the comments, but this is an interesting one for me, and I'm wanting to know the answer from Lai. Do you think Filipino overseas workers have a lot of pressure on them to send money home?
Yes.
So let's talk a bit about that. Those who don't know, it's kind of common in Asian culture in general. If someone in the family is doing better or working abroad, they're kind of expected to support the family back home. But of course, this comes with difficulties. So let's see what Lai's got to say about that.
Because in a Filipino household, we have these breadwinners, like, for example, like in a family member, someone has to, if they really wanted to, like, of course, make their life more comfortable, more better, someone has to, like, someone just deciding to move abroad, work, so they can send money and like improve the quality of life in the Philippines. So yeah, of course it's challenging because little did they know it's kind of hard to earn the money as well
Yeah,
in abroad.
for sure. My point of view, like Filipinos, especially that come here alone with no like family
Support,
support,
yeah, no support.
sometimes they have to work like two jobs
Two
just to
jobs,
get by
yeah.
here because it's so expensive to live here. And then they have that added pressure to send money home to family. But like, do you agree with sending the money home or not? Or do you think sometimes, because for me, having lived in the Philippines and seen families who have people living
Yeah.
abroad, sometimes I've noticed this can happen. It's a very common thing that can actually happen. It's where the family will know maybe one or two people in the family living and working abroad, and then they decide to become lazy because they just think it's their like obligation, or they're making more money than we can probably ever make in the Philippines, so we should just do nothing and be lazy and sit around and let them send money. But then in my opinion, that puts a lot of added pressure, being how difficult it is to work abroad on the overseas workers.
Yeah, it's really for me, like it's really hard because of course some people working abroad, it's like they don't have a choice because they have to work here, not because they want to,
Yeah,
but because they have to, because they need to support their family in the
yeah,
Philippines. At some point I agree, especially like their hard earned money is like going into, like, for example, they sending their brothers and sisters to schools, and they can see that they really have a good future, so it's helping, but like for some Filipinos who just taking advantage of them, I don't agree with that, because at some point they're just those working abroad that sending money, they're just helping them to be lazy,
yeah,
because they're just relying on them,
yeah.
but then they're not like doing anything to like at least improve their
In
own life
life,
as
yeah.
well.
But that it seems to be a common theme for me in the Philippines. Not like always, obviously, but it happens a lot where people do just expect like, oh, they're living abroad. But I think sometimes I feel sorry for the OFWs because the ones living maybe just in Manila or in the province, wherever they may be, they don't even understand. Maybe they've never been abroad. They don't understand how difficult it is to work like here in Ireland, for example. Like how they're finding it difficult just to like really pay the rent, pay the bills, and like eat and live here.
Yeah, and sometimes they will, like, they will feel guilty to like treat themselves, because rather they just gonna send the
Send the
money
money,
to
yeah.
the family.
So we're interested in OFWs. I'm not Filipino, so I'm more along the lines I will help people who help themselves.
Yeah.
But if someone's not willing to help themselves, why should you support them when they're just chilling, drinking Red Horse, doing nothing? So OFWs, let us know your thoughts on that in the comments. It will be interesting. Next one. This is a bit of a dark one.
Wow. What's the dark
For
one?
me being the interviewer of today,
Ooh.
I have read, especially about Filipino OFWs, there are many, many horror stories online that I've read about Filipinos going to different countries and their passports being taken and they've basically been treated very badly, some abused, sexually abused, and just basically being taken advantage of. Are there any stories that you know have happened to friends or family or that you've just read?
Yeah, of course, like for me, it's not always like a happy stories for like some OFWs, because some experience like being abused, like, like as a helper in their house, they being abused, they being raped. Like I know some stories about it. They was being raped, and of course they have to,
Yeah,
they don't have a choice. They cannot run away because
money.
money,
Yeah,
passport. That
yeah,
means they have to go back to the Philippines and, start a new life. But then it's horrible because it's gonna be a trauma for you.
and I think that's really sad because I know some people like obviously I've spent time in the Philippines a lot. I know a lot of people like are just going as single women, for example,
Yeah.
out of desperation as well, just to like get their family out of maybe poverty and they see an opportunity but they haven't maybe like done their research properly
Yeah.
100%. Sometimes it's that. I think
They got
sometimes
scam, yeah.
yeah, they get scammed. I think sometimes they just get unlucky as well or choose the wrong country and stuff like that happens. Passport get taken, they basically get treated like a slave, and like you said, then they're trapped.
Yeah.
Like if your passport gets took by, you're going to be a helper for a family and they're not nice and they take your passport
Yeah.
and then don't pay you what they promise, like what can you do, you're in a
Exactly.
foreign country, your family might not be able to afford a ticket for your home, so you can't just run away.
Yeah. It's like you're stuck.
Hence, that's why I think in the Philippines they make it so hard for Filipinos just to go abroad anywhere for that situation
Reason,
because
yeah.
if that happens, the only thing you can really do is contact the embassy, but then it's on
Ask
the
for help.
embassy to send people back. And we all know millions of Filipinos try and work abroad every year, so yeah, wild. I mean, I've personally heard loads of horror stories
That's
as
the
well.
sad stories, yeah.
So, any advice to those looking to be OFWs? What would you say?
Yeah, like do the research first. Of course, like it's important to like make sure that you're contacting a legit agency. Like it's no joke, babe. Like the money that you will have to prepare to move abroad,
Yeah,
it's like it's a big move.
big move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say don't just see something online like a high salary and just be attracted by that, because sometimes it can be like a trick as well, like it'll be such a high salary and people just jump on it, but then they don't know the country they move into, the culture there, the living conditions
Yeah,
there,
the living condition.
and you can just basically be flying into hell.
True.
So, yeah. Well, let's get off the dark note. If you know any horror stories, also you can write what to be careful of if you've been one of those victim to being tricked or something like that. Do write in the comments to save other people from making the same mistakes. But let's change to a lighter topic. Let's talk about some successful OFW stories. So,
Yeah.
personally, I have friends here who are OFWs. Lies met a few of them.
Yeah.
They've lived in Ireland for over 20 years. I would say they're successful stories. They've already got citizenship here. They're very hard working. Some of them started their own business, own Filipino shops, own restaurants. So
Restaurants, yeah.
we'll let Lai talk a bit about that.
Moving abroad, of course, for some got really lucky. Not really luck. I mean, like it's not just about the luck; it's about their hard work
Yeah,
as well.
for sure.
Yeah. So it's it. I'm happy to see Filipinos here because they have these Filipino communities all over the world, and they have this. Like for example, here in Killarney, they have this Killarney Filipino community,
Yeah.
which is like all Filipinos gathering each other, and like they have this gathering and then just enjoying like being kababayans, And yeah, it's happy to see like a success of our kababayans. For example, in Limerick, they have this restaurant called Dasco Deli.
We made a video there. Go and
I
check it
like
out.
it. Yeah, I like their food. Yeah, they open their business. Like they have businesses here. They moved here for good
Yeah.
and build their family here. So their success is like, it's
Yeah,
a
and that's
happy thing to know.
yeah, and that's a good point, because those kind of people have been here, a lot of them 10, 20 plus years. Like Lai said, their kids have even been born here. They go to school here, totally integrated into society here. So I think that's great, and yeah, it's just a good thing to see, like more success stories than the horror stories, because I think it's important to share, like, for example, Dasco Deli.
Yeah.
They've made a really, like, successful, like, Filipino restaurant in Limerick, and they also have a little shop that sell all the Filipino
Yeah,
goods, right?
yeah.
But you don't hear too much about that in the news. You normally hear more the negative side.
Exactly. Well,
So
that's true.
we have to shout out to up there in Limerick, Dasco Deli, because we did enjoy it. Good food,
Yeah, the
good
food.
business.
The food is good.
So, moving on, we're gonna finish. We're gonna finish up there, I think. But I'm gonna ask Lai. First of all, the pros of being an OFW.
First is the healthcare.
Okay, so you would say that's a pro about living in a foreign country, yeah?
Yes, because I find it their healthcare is way better. In my opinion, I think, yeah. Like, if you're a taxpayer here, it's really in good hands because for healthcare, it's included when you're working here. So, like like for example in the Philippines, you have to pay like a lot to experience a better healthcare, but here their healthcare is like their top priority as well. Is
Yeah.
that true? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a hard one, the healthcare. I think the healthcare is good in the Philippines too, like you said, but you really have to
To
pay.
pay, yeah.
Like even for me, when I ended up there, my bill was like crazy. So that's probably not ideal for the general Filipino worker. I know you have to pay like a health
We have
insurance, is it every
we have as well. We have healthcare. I mean like this healthcare provider in the Philippines as well, wherein if you're working, it's automatically deducted on your salary.
salary? Yeah, so they take it from your salary anyway, right?
Yes.
But in Ireland, yeah, we have things like medical cards where we can go to the doctor for free. If you're eligible for a medical card, if you're not, you have to pay the doctor. But in general, it's good here. You can see the doctor quickly. I've had things go wrong with me in the past here, and I've just gone to the public hospital. Not the best, not the worst, but they see you and they deal with the situation, you
More
know.
of like convenience for
Yeah.
me.
So, okay, another pro about being an OFW.
Yeah, I think the process of of living abroad as well is the wider employment, better opportunities of course, because like here, if you're a hardworking person, you can really go places because like the hard earned money, it's double if you gonna work double as well.
True. So that lies saying that it's very true, especially if you're a high skilled worker in the
Yes.
Philippines. I know some engineers that come over here and work for like Irish firm, and I know the owner of the Irish firm, and he said the Filipino workers are the hardest workers he's ever had.
It's true.
And yeah, if you've got a high skilled job like that,
Yeah.
then your salary is like up there. And like you said, then I think there's like more opportunity here where they'll see how it works and they can create their own company.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And of course, like the Filipino nurses, they've known for being like the best nurses as well,
yeah,
all over the countries, all
you're
over the
you're
world.
a pretty good nurse, babe.
Not just my profession. Another pros as well is moving abroad is like stepping out of your comfort zone.
True.
So
But why
it
is that a pro?
because it's like it's gonna open your mind to like a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna like experiencing a different culture will open your mind into a new perspective of life. Of course, you will better understand some cultures,
Mm-hmm.
experience and meet different people all over, like
Yeah,
the places, like the world.
I think this is a really good point because for me, that's a very like big pro too. Because like I said, if you're in the Philippines, you're just stuck in that mindset and that culture.
It's
But
true.
the Filipinos I know that have moved around, they like myself because I've traveled a lot. You try and take the best part of every culture and leave the stuff that you don't necessarily agree with behind, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm,
Yeah, you're gonna explore things, of course. Like you're gonna explore more of yourself as well.
hmm You're gonna find out a lot about yourself
Yes,
living alone.
especially like you realize you can do more things that you didn't expect you can do.
Yeah.
And of course, better income is in the pros as well.
Yeah, that I think that's the main reason most are moving, right?
Yeah, better income.
Better salary, better income. I think the first year will be hardest, but once they get past that, it becomes a lot easier, and you can get settled, and you can make your savings and income
Yeah.
just become higher and higher,
Yeah,
right?
like I know like some Filipinos working abroad, they send money to the Philippines to build their house.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can really build like big house for the family, so that's good.
that's nice. Yeah. Let's move on to the negatives or the cons of being an overseas worker. Obviously, it comes with a lot of difficulties. So, what would you say the first difficulty is?
The first one will be no family. Being away from the family as a Filipino is really challenging because moving here you'll feel like homesick.
Mm,
We have this homesickness, Like especially if the weather's affecting your mood, you'll feel sad. You're gonna miss family events, occasions in the Philippines.
Which is quite a big. Those who have been to Philippines
Yeah.
will know, like, they put a lot of importance on birthdays and months there is.
Yeah. So yeah, like of course those have children in the Philippines, and
They have to
like
leave behind,
they
right?
have to leave behind. Yeah.
That would be tough. I could not imagine if I had like a kid here now and I had to leave to work.
Yeah, that's
That's
hard.
that's very hard.
Of course, like it's a nice feeling to meet new people, but like being in a different environment, like where you're an alien, like where you're in an alien environment, it's a challenging part as well. Being alone in a different country is challenging because you have to know everything. You have to familiarize yourself with the transportation,
Yeah.
with where to go, what to eat, what food you can get, like in a cheaper price, let's say, like that. So yeah, it's a big adjustment.
And that's really actually more hard than people think, because like obviously I'm traveling, a traveler, let's say. I got so used to using the transportation in Bangkok. And then when I come back to Ireland and I have to go on this tram, the Lewis and the bus, I was confused with it, because I
Yeah.
was not used to it. So like you imagine you've never been used to it in your life and you have to come. So like you said, I think it makes you have to talk to people more, to ask, how can you go here? How can you go there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's why, like, it's like stepping out of your comfort zone because you really have to be independent. Like, you really have to help yourself.
Yeah, and like Filipinos are known for being quite shy people.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Well, even for me.
but yet the ones now that I know here, I would not really consider them shy because they've adapted more to the Irish culture, humor, everything. I've noticed that a bit about like my Filipino friends here, OFWs who have lived here for a long time. They're just so into the like humor, the banter. And when I go to Philippines and do the same to someone in the supermarket,
Sorry.
US like, they look at me like, sorry, sir,
They
are
don't
you
get the-
joking, sir?
They don't get the humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even for me, babe, like I've learned about it as well. Like
Yeah.
I used to be like shy person, but then I realized there's nothing wrong because you're learning from it as well.
Yeah. So
It's true, like experience is the good teacher.
yeah, for sure.
And I think one of the cons as well of living abroad is the language barriers. The language difficulties, especially like in Europe, they speak some of like countries in Europe speak different language. Let's say in Spain,
Yeah.
you have to learn Spanish. You have to you have to adapt to like Spanish culture. So
Yeah, that's a good point as well. And I would say, I'm going to say this too about the language. I don't know if Lai agrees. Filipinos are known for being really good at English. But what a lot of people forget, like some people's levels are different. Like some people might say Lai's fluency level is 100%, but then there might be a Filipino that comes whose fluency is like at 50%. And they cannot really have that fluid conversation, and then it becomes like a mental block for them, and it makes you nervous. Of course, although English is widely spoken in Philippines, it's still not the first language, right?
yeah. But my advice, babe, is like don't be scared because that's how you learn. Like
True.
even for me, expose yourself with like of course like if you're living in a country like in abroad, I mean, like expose yourself. That's how you learn, like just ask. It's nothing wrong with asking because here they won't feel you won't feel like humiliated with just asking because people are really like helpful as well.
Yeah, and understanding, right?
Yeah, they really understand, so they're not gonna mock you for not like having a perfect grammar.
Yeah,
you
I've
know?
noticed. I've noticed in the Philippines when
Yeah.
someone steps up out the group of friends and tries to speak English, all the others giggle
Yeah.
at them. But trust me, in Europe, guys, you have to remember, like every country pretty much in Europe speaks a different language. Spain, Portugal, Poland, Germany, Holland, all different languages. So when those guys, although most of them now could speak a little bit of English, but Not all, especially Spain. The English level in Spain isn't high. But when they come to England or Ireland, they speak very broken English. But like, we're so used to catering to people from
Yeah.
Europe because we live in Europe. It's the same for me when I go to Spain. You have to try and speak Spanish. They're so used to seeing different languages and cultures that no one laughs. We just try and understand, try and help, try and adapt. So
Yeah, that's why when I was in the Philippines, babe, like I thought, because of course, like in the Philippines they have this high standard when it comes to like English
yeah.
speaking, like, but like I realized when I moved here, like for example, here in Ireland, you talk to people, as long as they understand you and as long as you're able to say what you wanted to say, although you have like a broken English, let's say, because sometimes even me, like sometimes I forgot the words, but then they don't laugh at you.
No, no.
They don't mock you for like, oh, what she's trying to say. They're not like that, guys. So believe me, like that's how you will learn. So don't be afraid
Yeah,
to try.
that's good. I think that's it, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I think we covered more of like interesting questions as well, that like most common questions being asked like as an OFW. Of course, like we shared our thoughts, and of course I want to know your experiences, guys, your stories, so you can hop on the comments.
Yeah,
Share your stories.
we've spoke about a few very interesting topics for me, so I don't care how long your comment is, write away your stories. And before we go, is there anything out there you want to say to the OFWs?
I'm proud of you guys.
So yeah, shout out to all the Filipino OFWs. I personally know how difficult it must be for you because I've worked in different countries in Europe. I know how difficult it is if you're coming from the Philippines with not a good financial situation to work abroad. Super difficult. Respect all of them. They're far away from home, working their asses off. And I just hope some of their families understand and realize how hard they really have to work to get that money. And life here isn't always as easy as you think.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. Puhon.
Pohon.
Puhon.
What's that?
Puhon.
Pohon. I say
Pohon.
right? Pohon.
Pohon.
Okay. So yeah, thanks to everyone for watching. A bit of a different video, but hope you guys enjoyed. See you on the next video. Ciao.
Adios.
Adios.
Adios.